Hi, my name is Noah Code, and these are some of my cheap travel tips to Europe or Asia. It actually can be really inexpensive to travel to Europe. There's some quick, easy tips and ways to go about finding flights. I'll show you real quick. Okay, the main thing is Google Flights. That's really all you need to know. But there's some tricks with Google Flights. What they do is they collect all this data from all these places. So we just search for Google Flights. They collect all this data and they pull it together, and then they show you some cool maps and cheap ways of going about it. So check this out. Um, this is what I used the other day. I had some extra vacation days. I was like, where do I want to go? I was like, I want to go to Hyde Park in London. I mean, I've been there before. It was gorgeous. And then I learned that the Bumble founder was walking through that when she figured out the idea of working on Bumble. And I was like, I want someplace inspirational. So the main thing is, first off, start with the biggest, closest city to the continent you're going. If it's Europe or Asia, choose Seattle. If it's the other side or Europe, choose New York. So plug in New York. If I know we're not all in New York or Seattle, it's cheap to get a flight to one of those major cities. Don't worry about that. Just go into New York. Here's one of the magic keys. Plug in just Europe. Don't pick a specific city yet. Don't worry about it, in fact. And then another thing, pick one way, okay? And then we're going to pick a month out. About a month out. Okay, that's where we're going to find some of the cheaper deals. We're going to refine to find the cheapest one, but for now we're going to do a month out. Okay, so we do a search and Google goes and does its calculations, and it creates this cool map. If you're plugging in an area like Europe, you're going to see it's going to, in one way, it's going to zoom in to where you want to go because it knows you're coming from one spot. Look at that, zoomed right into Europe. And then it's going to show the prices in different areas. Wow, look at some of these prices. Like, I can go to Poland for $223. Remember, this is one way, not round trip, but it's pretty good. Last time I went to London and Paris, I had dinner on the streets of London. I spent about a week between the two, stayed at some beautiful places, traveled all the way there, and the whole trip cost me about under $1,000 for a week in Paris and London. It was gorgeous, and the flights themselves were only about $450. Okay, so I'll show you how we go about this. I mean, look at some of these prices. Moscow for $300. I can get over to Rome for $270, London for $225, Paris for $152. What? This is amazing. And right now, I get it. This is COVID-19 time frame, but to be honest, these are about the prices I see anytime. So maybe it'll go up, maybe it'll go down a little bit after COVID. I'm not sure. You can find out for yourself. But look, to me, these prices are just inspirational. Like, I see $152 to Paris, and I'm like, let's just go. I mean, let's just go have a nice dinner in Paris. I mean, you could spend more than that on a really nice dinner in Paris. I mean, it's nice. Okay, so, but that's not all. So that's one part. So we're going to go New York to Europe. All right, but let's say I want to go to London and Paris. Okay, so $225 to London is pretty good. But here's the next trick kick. So now what we want to do is we actually want to go back, now that we know we want to go to London, and I want to refine the date so that I can find like the cheapest date, right? So again, I'm going to pick New York here, and we're going to pick London. London, all airports is fine. Now this is important, choose one way. And now watch the magic that happens here. I'm going to click on the date. I'm not going to go deep into it. I'm just going to click on it and wait. Wait for it. Boom! Look at this. This is amazing. This is amazing. So remember that flight was $225 on the 15th? Look at these prices. $212. I wait one more week. I'm like, shoot, I need about a month to plan and get everything ready anyway, and let work know and all that. So that would be absolutely fantastic. Look, I could go on the weekend. I could come back on the weekend. What a great price. I'm just curious. Let's push out just a little bit further. That's interesting. Notice that the prices actually go up just a little bit further out. So again, that month away time frame is about the ideal rate. Okay, so 212, great. So let's say I want to fly out on that Monday. Okay, great. So the 20th. Actually, let's say the 21st. Okay. So now I'm like, okay, great. I know I want to go to London, but how am I going to get back? Where am I going to go? Well, here's a couple things. It's actually really cheap to like fly from London to Paris. So if we plug in, and let's say I want to spend a couple days in London and then go to Paris. So if I'm going to plug in London right here, London, come on, London, London, United Kingdom, and then I plug in Paris, and let's say I want a couple days in Paris. Let's see if the flights are any cheaper. one way or the other. And so I plug it in, I pull up the calendar. Wow, look at these prices. Wow, look at that. $40, $42, 58. Okay. 35. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, anyway, $10 more if I wanted to go on the weekend isn't so bad. To have like 4 days in London and then go to Paris. So flights between like London and Paris are pretty cheap. Can be really cheap. I personally have done that a couple times, and I actually recommend taking the train. It does cost more. It's going to be like 70, 80, $90 price range. You can just go to, there's a Euro train from London to Paris. It does cost a little bit more, and it does take a little bit longer. But man, it's just such a nicer travel experience. It is fun to ride a train. It's fun to go under the English Canal. It takes longer, but there's Wi-Fi. It's more comfortable. There's more room. And so on. So that's something to consider. I mean, you can certainly fly, but then you have to go to the airport. You have to go through security. There's smaller flights. You have to be waiting right there. The train is so easy. Just kind of walk in. Okay, so that's one tip. So now that we're going to go to Paris. Let's see about getting from Paris back. So now I'm going to plug in Paris here. And let's plug in New York. Okay. And again, we're going to use this calendar function. We don't need the map, and so on. I mean, it does show some of the best flights down here, but look at this. Look at this. The best flights, the cheapest flights are sometimes just non-stop flights. It's amazing. I mean, this is non-stop. Yeah, you're going to have to connect in the United States, but that's to be expected unless you're already living in one of these big cities. So we're going to pull up the map. Oh my goodness, look at this. Flying Paris to New York. So we could go like 4 or 5 days into London, come over to Paris on the weekend, and then come back a week later. Let's say I was here on this 28th. And look at that. So we'll click OK. Let's just say done. And then let's see what it comes up for flights. Ba-dum-bum. Wow, look, non-stop on this airlines. Now, I will be honest, like, some of the super cheap flights are a little bit more budget. Like, you need to pack in a small suitcase, not take something big, but I think that's part of the fun. I specifically bought a little suitcase that I can go for a whole weekend that will fit under the seat. And I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's part of the game. It's part of the fun. It's easy to go. And then places you can stay at hostels. In London and Paris, there are beautiful hostels. There are hostels with young people. There are hostels for older people. I stayed in a real nice hostel last time in Paris, which was like for for professionals, like in their 30s and 40s. There was another bed in the room, a totally separate bed, separate side of the room. Another young professional man from Paris that was in on a business trip to work in the IT field. I saw him like 2 times in the 4 days I was in Paris, and it was easy, super beautiful, cafe in the location, everything. So great. For that, you just go to Hostel World. If you want to do the hostel thing, Hostel World is a great site. I use that a lot. If you want to do Airbnbs, are fantastic in London and Paris as well. There's tons of options there. Maybe you do a fancy hotel. It's not really my thing, but it's all good. Okay, so that's Europe. See how easy it is? Look at that prices. What do we see? 146. What was it? 120. Was it 120? About 140 to London, plus the 146 to Paris, plus the 56, or the more expensive, or 35, or even the more expensive $48 flight. Look at that. All the flights, London to Paris, back under 450. Amazing. Great prices. It's easy. This isn't just COVID time. This is normal time. Okay, so that's one thing. That's Europe. Okay, how about Asia? So I recently went to Japan a couple months ago. Went to Japan with my 2 brothers and worked something out. I do have another travel tip on how to get cheap flights within the United States. I'll show you that too here at the end. So stay with me. So if I wanted to go, let's say so if you're going to Europe, plug in or Asia, plug in Seattle. Actually, let's go back. I like going back to the main screen. For some reason, I think that it does a little better for me to navigate. So let's just go back. One more time. Another time. All the backs. Okay. Whoa, too far back. And now we got someplace crazy. I don't even know what this is. Let's go back. Okay, so now we're going to plug in Ba-da-bum-bum. Let's plug in Seattle. Seattle to the globe and everything's closer to Asia. I don't know. Let's just plug in Japan for now. Let's say I want to go to Japan. And again, trick, pick one way. Now here's something. Because we already said Japan, we can pick up. I think you have to pick a city. Yeah, see how it's not showing the dates because we picked an entire country, like a whole area. That's shown by the little globe thing. All right. But that's okay because if you pick an area like Japan, then you want to go to the map because in the map will show you where in Japan it's cheapest to fly, and it's almost always cheapest to fly into the big city. All right, so here's Tokyo. But again, this is Sunday, June 21st. That's like in 2 days from where it is from now. So I'm going to pick again about a month out, and let's see what those prices look like. And okay, so there it is. So $415. $400 to fly one way. And I do recommend when buying a flights in and out of Europe, just because you want to travel around. I think it's a little easier to do one way, buying each way separately. You can definitely compare with the round trip once you know your dates. But anyway, 415 to Tokyo, that's awesome. Again, there's that trick that if you want to see the overall calendar, you pick a specific city, not a region. So let's go back here and we're going to pick, come on Google. All right, it still thinks I'm in Dallas because that's where I live. So New York to Tokyo. We're going to pick the city. It doesn't matter about the airport. It's just the city. And then again, you got one way. And then we can do the pop down. And then we wait for it, wait for it. Boom, there's those prices. Okay, so we picked, I think, the 15th. Gosh, is it showing it actually a little bit more now? I think it was showing, was it 415 before? But anyway, here's 479. Wonder where that 415 flight went. That was amazing. Here's 476. It should highlight in green the cheapest ones around here. I don't know how far you can go out. Wow, if we go out to September, it goes down to 430, a couple months out. That's not too bad. I wonder what happens if you go even further. Still pretty cheap. Now, actually, right now with COVID, I just found out because my friend's moving there that they're not letting people in right now, but probably in September they would. Okay, so let's say we pick that date. So there we go. So $430 for a flight all the way to Japan. So you can get your flight to Japan and back for under $1,000. And so you see that. You figure out the rest. You know how that works. Now what I wanted to show you was the map for the Asia area. Okay, so if I pick Japan again, let's say, it's going to take me to the map because it's like, where do you want to go in Japan? I don't know exactly. No, but we'll pick further out because this is what I want to show you. What about other places in Asia? How do you see Thailand, Cambodia, China? What if you want to go to one of those places? I want to go to Vietnam and Cambodia and China next. So watch this. If I move this map, watch the magic happen, people. Magic, magic, magic. Whoa, look at that. That is so cool. I mean, I think this is just inspiring. Look at this. So at that date, that far out, you can fly to Singapore for $400. I want to go to Thailand and Bangkok, so I can go to Ho Chi Minh City in Cambodia for $385, or Vietnam. Or I could go to Bangkok, Thailand for $457. I could get in and out of Thailand for under $1,000. That's awesome. I don't know about you, but that's inspiring to me. I can save up for that. I can make that happen. I'm going to. But that's the magic of it, is like you can literally just like move around and then see. I can fly to Hong Kong for $477. I do want to go back to Hong Kong someday. I was only there for 24 hours before. Okay, great options. I told you I'd give you a couple tips on travel inside the United States and to get to these major cities. Again, this is flying from Seattle. Remember, if you want to go to Asia, choose Seattle. There might be cheaper flights from some other places like in Florida out, some special deals. Another great site is Skip Lagged. They actually do this funky thing where they say, okay, if you're going from A to B, but there's a connecting flight in the middle, Maybe it's actually, and sometimes there's discounts given for these longer routes, but you actually want to go to that one in the middle. It'll figure all that out and give you some really cheap places. Sometimes I found cheaper deals on that. It's worth checking out. They actually got sued by the airlines for doing that, and then they defended their thing, and they won their case. Okay, finish this up. Again, if you want to fly in the United States, so look, for example, I want to go from Dallas to New York. So I'll pick New York, because I want to get to New York for that flight. In this case, I might pick the round trip for simplicity because I do need to like get there and back, and I know what days I want to go into Europe. For simplicity, I'm just going to do the calendar thing so we can see the flight prices. And again, so look at that, $45. I was going to fly out on the 21st in this case and fly back on that day, so $45. Now here's the deal. I do recommend, these are some cheap flights, but I do recommend using points when you can. If you have airline points, use them. If you have, they're meant there to be used. Don't lose them. Use them. If you have a credit card that helps you with travel points, use that. It's cheap and easy to get flights. Okay, now okay, look at this. That's Spirit, not a favorite, right? Airline as far as budget. Oh, $5, $4 more for nonstop flight? For sure. Yes, please. But look at this. I mean, JetBlue is really close. There is a stop. Okay, $68. And then they go up. American Airlines, $99. Okay, I would personally consider that worth the money to fly nice airlines. And unless I was like, just really wanted the cheap flight, I would totally do Spirit. Actually, I kind of like Spirit. I like the fact that they're super budget. I know how to pack. I can pack a bag that goes under. It's easy to go. It's not the nicest airlines for sure, but man, if you work it right, it's so cheap. I've gotten flights for literally, I flew to New York one time and back for like $46 round trip. It was beautiful. If you know how to work it, but you take a small bag, really be careful with that. But I do like American Airlines. I travel a lot with them, so I like to use my points with American Airlines. One other thing, Chase. Get yourself a Chase. If you are going to travel much, get yourself a Chase Sapphire, a rewards card. One sec. 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah, get yourself a Chase Sapphire rewards card. I guess any one of these ads is probably fine. This is what I use. It's simple. There's Amex. There's a lot of other cards, but if you want a good one, this Chase Sapphire Reserve, it costs a little bit more, but it's fantastic. 3 times the points on travel worldwide. Anything I don't have any debt. I don't do credit cards usually, but I do this for the points because it's nice to get some kickback. So you get 3 times the points for travel related expenses. That means flights, that means food, that means hotels. And I use it all for my business expenses, which I get reimbursed for anyway. And that way I rack up some points. And here's the cool thing. If you use the points that are on the card points, there's airline points and there are card points. They're separate things, okay? But if you use the card points to pay for a flight, to the airlines, it looks like you're just paying cash. So you actually get points from the airlines when you do that. So I use my card points to go to Japan recently, and then because they use cash to pay for it, the airlines also gave me points, which is sweet because that's an international trip. It's a lot of miles and everything. So okay, so those are my travel tips. That's all I've got. Thank you for staying with me. Hope that's inspiring. If you're inspired, leave a comment. Let me know. My idea is just like I get inspired by this, and I want you to be inspired. I want people to feel that like travel to Europe and travel to Asia is actually easy. It's fun. You can go. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Save up a little bit of money and you go. Get those dates and you're out. All right, Serenata, thanks for joining. Okay, bye.